This is Riskiness, the game show about the dangers of driving high that does not actually put you in jeopardy in any way. I'm your host, Bert Trajek. Let's welcome our first contestant, Tiffany. She's a mother of two with a very safe driving record.
I'm also the lead attorney for a Fortune 500 company.
You bet. Next is Greg, a regular guy with a regular job and a regular life. And finally, we welcome Mick, a bud tender at a cannabis dispensary.
Yes, one of those dispensaries. We sell cannabis, also known as marijuana, pot, grass, weed, Mary Jane, bud. And I'm on a game show about driving under the influence. Oh, the irony. Trust me, I see it too.
Let's get started. The rules are simple. You pick a category, we ask questions. You get them right, you win points. Just raise your hand when you know the answer.
Can we just buzz in?
Well, there are some legal and technical challenges there, so we're going to stick with a raised hand for now. Tiffany, you won the toss. You pick first.
I'll take penalties for 100, Alex.
My name is Bert. First question. If driving drunk will get you a DUI, what will driving under the influence of cannabis get you?
What is a DUI?
Don't answer with a question. The lawyers, Yes, you're absolutely right, Tiffany. Driving under the influence of cannabis can get you a DUI.
It's also called DUID, or driving under the influence of drugs. It's another form of driving impaired because DUI doesn't just mean booze. You could be impaired by things like cannabis, a mix of alcohol and drug, or even prescription or over-the-counter meds, like cold remedies and cough syrups. No matter what's impairing you, you're a danger on the road.
Yes, Greg?
But we shouldn't be under the influence of anything when driving.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of the game, right? To learn that DUIs are bad and we shouldn't be impaired, and we figured it all out. Do we win a prize?
No, not yet. We have more questions.
Why? We figured it out.
Okay, Mick, you have the next question.
I'll take numbers 4 for 100.
Okay, in California, what is the significance of the number 28,000?
This is just a guess, but it is roughly the number of people injured or killed by drivers who were under the influence. And that's probably in just 1 year.
That's very impressive, Mick. In just 1 year in California, DUI drivers caused more than 1,000 deaths and 27,000 injuries. So you're absolutely right. And you're high right now?
No, Bert. I have seasonal allergies. I'm completely sober. I drove here, and I don't get high if I might have to drive. We're on a game show about driving impaired. So, context clues.
Good point, Mick. Don't go away. It's time for our first break.
Hey, Bert, just wanted to let you know, we got that phone call we were dreading. We're going to have to kind of change things on the fly here, so kind of bear with us. We'll update the teleprompter.
Welcome to the hottest game show in town,
Wheel of Statistics.
And let's welcome back our...
Did you just change the name of this show?
Copyright infringement, huh? You already got a call from the lawyers?
Okay, Tiffany, spin the wheel. You've landed on statistics. Let's look at a study that shows the prevalence of DUI drugs in drivers. In a one-year study in a California county, blood samples from individuals arrested for DUI were analyzed. What percentage of these samples tested positive for drugs?
22%?
Good answer, but not what we're looking for. Greg?
I'd like to buy a...
No.
Lawyers, you gotta love us.
Greg, do you have a guess?
Is it closer to 50%?
It is! Of those arrested, 52% of the blood samples tested positive for at least one type of drug. Next question. Which drug was most frequently detected in that California study?
THC.
THC is the impairing chemical contained in marijuana. Go on.
The other drugs found in the study included stimulants, anti-anxiety drugs, sleep aids, and opioids. Our next two questions are about THC. Greg, please spin the wheel.
Come on, statistics. Come on, statistics.
Statistics it is. Lucky you.
Bert, can I wave to my family?
Well, I don't think they'll
Hi,
actually...
Jane. Hi, John. Hey, Rover. Hi, Muffins. Hey, Whiskers. And I can't forget my beautiful, loving wife. Hi, Mary.
This isn't live. It's not going to broadcast.
Oh, yeah, of course. I just got excited. I'm going to be on national TV. And
No, it's an online course. It's one person sitting at their computer.
Huh?
Moving along, how many people become new cannabis users each day?
I thought this was going to be a THC question.
Well, cannabis does contain THC.
Oh, you just said that. My bad.
Around 7,000.
Well,
Tiffany.
Tiffany, you would have been right in 2022. Not today. Want to try again?
Oh my gosh. This most recent report says there are 10,000 new users each day.
Well, yes, you're right, but using your phone isn't
And
really fair.
36.4 million people are considered regular users because they reported using cannabis at least once in the last 30 days. 62 million reported using cannabis at least once in the last year. That's 22% of Americans. Oh, and they confirmed my 4 o'clock eyebrow waxing. Oops, sorry, that was for me.
Well, thanks a ton, Tiffany. There go my next 3 questions. We'll be going to a break now.
Wheel of Statistics.
Bert, we got another call. I'm having the art department try and put stuff together for another game show. Just give me a sec. And sorry.
Welcome to the very lucrative triangle. Our lucky contestants.
Copyright.
Yeah, this is sad.
It's not sad. It's the very lucrative triangle. Our categories today are CBD, THC, pot power, smoking and vaping, edibles, and dabbing. Mick, let's start with you. Pick a category.
CBD, please.
Okay, what is CBD?
Okay, well, CBD or cannabidiol is a compound in cannabis that won't get you high. Most CBD products come from hemp, a variety of cannabis plant known for its high CBD content. Some people use CBD products like lotions and oils due to its perceived medicinal benefits, such as pain relief and inflammation reduction. Again, CBD has no intoxicating effects. It won't get you high. Fun fact, hemp is also an incredibly strong natural fiber. My clothes are made of it.
Okay, Mick, thank you for oversharing. Tiffany, your turn.
Well, might as well go in order. THC, please.
What is THC?
Okay, THC is short for...
Tetrahydrocannabinol.
Thanks, Mick. THC is the primary psychoactive or impairing component in cannabis. It creates the feeling of euphoria or high.
Again, excellent answer, Tiffany. Or should I say Tiffany's phone?
Thank you. I knew I was coming here today, so I had links teed up on my phone.
Okay, Greg, how about you?
I'd like pot power, please.
Pot power for Greg. How has the strength of cannabis changed over time?
I know this. The strength has increased. In 2001, the concentration of THC in pot was around 6%, and now it's usually around 18 to 20%, sometimes as high as 30%, because growers have been developing stronger strains.
Exactly, Greg. Marijuana today is stronger than ever, something that might surprise you if you haven't used cannabis since high school 40 years ago.
My turn. I'll take smoking and vaping, Bert. What gets into your system depends on how you consume it. If you're smoking the cannabis bud from a joint or a bong, the THC potency typically ranges from 18 to 30%.
Even more if you're using a vape pen. The THC concentration in the oil cartridge could be 80% or higher.
Nick, it's your turn.
I'll take dabbing, Bert. Dabbing is where you heat the sticky oil or wax of concentrated THC and then inhale those vapors. The THC content in the wax can reach up to 100%.
Let's hear more.
New at 5 o'clock, a new way to get high, and it's gaining enormous popularity here in our area. It's a marijuana derivative that offers extreme potency, and yet there are big questions about its safety. Eyewitness News reporter Stefan Kim takes us inside the potentially dangerous world of dabbing.
This is not the marijuana you're used to. It's not green, it's not a plant. If you didn't know any better, you might think it's crack cocaine. It's marijuana extract, concentrated cannabis, and this is called dabbing.
All of it is very, very sticky, almost impossible to get off of your hands.
Extremely high levels of THC, that chemical in marijuana that produces a high, gaining enormous popularity among cannabis smokers.
Talk to me, like, how are you feeling right now?
In the snap of a finger, I went from not high to being 100% high.
There have definitely been cases that people have overdosed on dabbing.
Dr. Yasmin Hurd is a neuroscientist at Mount Sinai.
For the developing brain, we know that THC has long-term impact, even at lower concentrations. So no one yet knows what these high concentrations of THC will do because they're very new.
But medical experts say it can cause psychosis, rapid heartbeat, and blackouts. Traditional marijuana has a THC concentration of about 20%, dabbing close to 100%.
It's like any other drug, dose matters. The fact that you can have 80 to 90% THC going into your brain and your body, I think people should think about that.
Dosage is everything. You can have a really small amount where you're barely feeling anything, and then at the same time you can have a massive amount and you were high for a long time at a high level.
Either way, dabbing is probably not going away anytime soon.
Wow. Now I'm suspicious of that butane torch I found in Junior's bedroom. Here's the bottom line for what we've been discussing.
Whether you smoke it, eat it, dab it, or vape it, it's illegal to drive high. Driving high is a DUI.
Welcome back to...
Hey, we weren't finished talking about the effects of cannabis. The buzz or high from cannabis affects people differently depending on whether they smoke it or eat it.
How do you know all this stuff, Mick?
Well, I am a bartender. Plus, it's right there on your teleprompter. Look.
Inhaling cannabis produces the quickest high. The effects can be felt almost instantly and can last 1 to 4 hours, sometimes even up to 24 hours. But it's different if you eat or drink cannabis. Over to Tiff for more on edibles.
It's Tiffany, and thank you, Greg. Edibles like gummy bears and brownies take longer to kick in than smoking, and the high also lasts much longer. Since edibles go through the digestive system, it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours to feel the effects, which can last 8 to 10 hours or even up to 24 hours. Edibles also include THC drinks like sodas, teas, and seltzers. The effects of these can be felt within 15 to 20 minutes. By the way, edibles can often look like regular snacks and treats that kids would eat, so it's important to keep them out of reach of children. I say that both as a mom and a lawyer.
Edibles can contain high concentrations of THC, with the average serving being 5 to 10 milligrams. Not sure how the heck to measure 5 to 10 milligrams? Neither do I, but I do know that it's a very small portion of the product. For example, this entire chocolate bar contains 90 milligrams of THC. An average single serving of this edible is just 1 square of chocolate. Tiff?
Tiffany, dosing can be tricky and it's easy to consume more than 1 serving of edibles. If you get impatient waiting for the high to kick in, you might take another dose too soon, and before you know it, you're extremely high, or worse, you're overdosed.
And how cannabis affects you depends on many things, like your personal tolerance and the amount of THC in the product.
So true, Greg. You also need to be careful with product labels. Sometimes they claim to be THC-free or have low amounts of THC, but may not always be the case. The takeaway here is to be careful about what you buy and how you consume it.
Okay, can we?
Right you are, Mick. In fact, California has the Department of Cannabis Control, the DCC, which regulates all commercial cannabis activity. In other words, the DCC oversees how cannabis is grown, transported, and sold. All legal cannabis products sold in the state feature the triangle symbol. For more information, check out the DCC website at cannabis.ca.gov.
Hey, this is my show. Stop reading all my lines.
Sorry.
True or false? Smoking weed makes everyone feel mellow.
Seriously? Seriously? Bert, I'm so sorry. We got another call from the lawyers. Stand by. We're going to come up with something.
Let's play the feud.
Yay!
Welcome, the Bud family. Our first category is cannabis. Cannabis can affect people in different ways. Today's cannabis has properties of multiple drug classes, including stimulants, depressants, and hallucinogens. Smoking weed does not make everyone feel mellow. Round 1. As a stimulant, possible symptoms include
Aggressive behavior.
Mood swings,
Risky behavior.
anxiety,
Nervousness.
Okay, great job, Bud family. Now, on to the second round. Okay. As a depressant, possible symptoms include
forgetfulness,
Impaired judgment.
Impaired coordination.
Paranoia.
suicidal thoughts,
I know,
Irritability.
Oh, dang it!
See? Like that.
Okay, all right. And now, for the final round, hold on. Okay. As a hallucinogen, possible symptoms include
Aggressiveness.
confusion,
Panic.
Fear.
Terror.
hallucinations.
Okay, players, let's stop right there, all right? That was weirdly enthusiastic. Oh. All right. Great job, I guess, Bud family. All good answers. Acute cannabis intoxication is on the rise, leading to more visits to emergency departments. In addition to severe vomiting, high doses of cannabis can lead to toxic psychosis due to elevated levels of THC. This can cause some people to experience hallucinations and paranoia. Here's a video that addresses the problem.
In Colorado, one of the first states to legalize recreational pot, a new study found more than 2,500 people have been sent to emergency rooms complaining of bad highs.
Over a 5-year period, cannabis-related emergency room visits more than quadrupled. About 10% of those visits were from edibles. Reasons for visits included vomiting and psychiatric symptoms. Nearly a third of all cannabis-related visits led to hospital admissions.
People are sometimes using it for recreational purposes and then ultimately also using it if they've got back pain. And so when that line is blurred, there's less regulation about how to do it and how to do it safely.
Another call? Seriously, it's like they don't have anything else to watch. We're working on the set. We have a PA trying to mock up a sign for you, and then the backgrounds, I don't even know what we have left. I don't know. Good luck.
Welcome to Drive or No Drive. Okay, contestants, how soon is it safe to drive after inhaling or ingesting cannabis? Have we heard anything from the lawyers? No. What do we know about cannabis users when it comes to driving?
14.8 million people have reported driving within an hour of using cannabis.
And 74% think it is unlikely they'll get caught driving within an hour of using cannabis.
Very good. Here is a common misconception about cannabis and driving.
I actually drive better when I'm high.
No, you don't drive better. Because THC affects your thinking, it also affects your driving. It slows reaction time, decreases coordination, and impairs judgment. Bottom line, if you feel different, you drive different. And even if you feel fine while under the influence of cannabis, you may not be able to accurately judge if you're safe to drive. The University of California conducted a study on this subject. Let's look at the results.
Regular cannabis users completed driving simulations after smoking. What were the results? These two roads show cannabis users' self-perception of their driving abilities versus their actual driving performance over a 4.5-hour period. Up to 30 minutes after they smoked, they were aware that their driving ability was impacted. Their self-perception matched their actual performance. In fact, many said they would not drive in their current state. However, at 90 minutes, drivers felt that the impairment was wearing off. This made them more likely to drive, even though their actual performance was no different than how they performed at 30 minutes. 4.5 hours later, the simulation showed that the impairment had worn off, and their driving ability now matched their self-perception.
That's not fair. What am I going to tell Bert? What do you want me to tell him? We've got nothing? We've got nothing left? We don't have
Welcome back to... Welcome back. Now let's explore some things law enforcement looks for to identify impaired driving.
Law enforcement's looking for a lot of different things, such as intention problems, people staying stopped at green lights, people proceeding through yellow lights at an unsafe speed. Maintaining lane positions is a big one. Tailgating, unsafe lane changes, driving up on the curb. We're seeing people who drive too fast, maybe even drive too slow. If you're slow to respond when we pull you over and have a hard time getting out of the car, we're going to check to see if you're impaired.
Welcome back to You Risk Your Life, the show that highlights cannabis-related traffic crashes making headlines. The most common driving violation among those arrested for DUI cannabis is poor speed control, either driving too fast or too slow. The second most common violation is lane weaving. Here's a video of a crash that occurred in Southern California.
Andrew Diaz shared this now viral dash cam video on his Facebook page.
Okay.
It shows a Chevy Silverado sailing down the freeway like a missile, slamming into a Nissan Sentra, causing a chain reaction crash. When the dust settles, the damage is astounding. This is the lower half of that Nissan Sentra and the top half. 44-year-old Janet Janau lost her life in it. CHP says that man, 25-year-old Javier Caldera, was driving under the influence of marijuana, likely going over 100 miles per hour. No one had time to react.
In this crash, you can see the horrific damage to the Nissan caused by an impaired driver in a speeding Chevrolet truck. In a crash between a large and small vehicle, the smaller one is at greater risk of injury and fatality due to its size and weight. This truck, traveling at high speed, essentially crushed the smaller vehicle, cutting it in half. The driver pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 23 years to life in state prison. The next video shows a crash that happened in Northern California.
The CHP says they have evidence that the 21-year-old driver who caused a 5-car pileup in Fremont was stoned. 3 people were killed, including 14-year-old Chrissy Lemus and her 9-year-old sister Brooke.
At 9 o'clock last night, the CHP got calls about 21-year-old Dang Nguyen Hai Tran driving recklessly and speeding on the freeway. A short time later, the CHP says Tran, high in marijuana, struck the white Escalade, somehow causing it to roll. Yes, this 21-year-old man from San Jose was calm and cooperative. The officers say that he caused this crash that killed 3 people and injured 5, and then he basically walked away from it without a scratch. They say that as he was standing there amidst all this debris, the broken glass and twisted metal and the body bags, he asked the officers, "Is everybody okay?"
The driver of this Toyota was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence of cannabis. Here's another misconception.
I can smoke and drink a little. It'd be fine to drive.
Bert, we're going again. I don't even understand the background at this point. Just go with it.
Welcome back to What Can You Do? Some people believe they are fine to drive after combining alcohol and cannabis, but that's a risky decision. If you've been drinking, cannabis will not sober you up. Players, what happens when you mix cannabis and alcohol?
Mixing them can make the effects even worse. Cannabis plus alcohol produces higher blood concentrations of THC and increased impairment. This makes your crash risk even higher.
A recent AAA survey showed that drivers who consumed alcohol and cannabis together pose a higher risk to themselves and others on the road compared to those who only consumed alcohol.
Here are some of the self-reported results of people who consumed alcohol only versus cannabis and alcohol together.
Hey, I'm the host here. You guys are the players.
Speeding on residential streets, 35% versus 55%.
Aggressive driving, 28% versus 52%. Running red lights, 32% versus 48%.
Texting while driving, 21% versus 40%.
Very interesting results from a very interesting study. And this public health message pretty much says it all about cannabis and driving. If it doesn't make sense for your pilot to be high while flying the plane, why would it make sense for you to be high while driving a vehicle? For more information, a good resource is the California Department of Public Health website at cdph.ca.gov. Go to Let's Talk Cannabis.
Now, let's discuss prescription medication.
Hey, I'm in charge here. This is my show.
Yep, sorry, take it away.
Thanks. Now let's discuss prescription medications.
I just said that.
Lots of people take prescription medications. Since doctors prescribe them, how dangerous can they be?
These may cause drowsiness, so until you know how you will react to the medication, do not operate heavy machinery. Like your car.
Oh, totally.
There's more than one way to be under the influence.
Now let's hear a word from our sponsor.
You know this. Drink and drive, get a DUI. But some medication can get you one too. Check the label before you pop that pill. DUI doesn't just mean booze.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You got no name of the show, no opening graphic, no clue what it's about, and you got water?
Medications easily fall within the definition of drug in the California Vehicle Code Section 312.
Here are some facts. Americans take nearly 6.7 billion prescriptions a year.
Yet 24% of Americans took more than 3 different prescription drugs in the last 30 days.
34% of adults age 65 and older are prescribed medications that could potentially impair driving. Bert, do you want to take this?
Some medications have side effects that impact driving, even when taken as directed. Check for warning labels that will let you know how long you should wait before driving. Some effects can last for a short time, while others may continue for several hours, even into the next day. Here are some of the most commonly prescribed medication classes that could impact driving.
Narcotic pain relievers or opioids.
Anti-anxiety medications.
Sedatives and sleep aids.
Antidepressants or mood stabilizers.
Blood pressure and heart medications.
Diabetes drugs.
Anti-seizure medications.
Muscle relaxers.
Contestants, what are some potential side effects?
Drowsiness.
Nausea.
Inability to focus or pay attention.
Fainting.
Fainting is a bad thing to do while driving.
Slowed or uncoordinated movement.
Blurred vision.
Excitability.
Dizziness.
Excellent work, team. Let's take a look at this video to learn more about the opioid epidemic.
Do we have anything left? Nothing. We don't have... What's in that folder? Use that. What the heck? Clouds. Sure.
According to the current CDC estimate, 44 people die every day from prescription opioid overdoses. Meanwhile, 64% of individuals who used prescription opioids in the past month believed it was safe to drive afterward. Here's an example of what can happen when people drive while impaired by prescription medications.
Sarnan Bupanan wiped away tears and kept her head down for most of the preliminary hearing, listening to witnesses talk about this deadly crash. It was broad daylight, 10:30 in the morning last October, when San Diego police say the 39-year-old ran a red light, hitting 3 cars. 77-year-old George Matson died at the scene. She's a medically retired Air Force officer who holds a PhD. Her attorney says she was taking 4 prescription medications at the time of the crash for biological and psychiatric injuries, including a high dose of Valium.
We got no opening title, we got no music, we got no graphics, we got no... What do you mean, we got green?
As that video showed, driving under the influence of drugs can lead to extreme consequences. In this case, the driver was convicted of gross vehicular manslaughter and felony DUI, which is driving under the influence and causing death or great bodily injury. She received a 5-year prison term. Some drivers think they can hide their impairment from law enforcement.
Police can't tell that I'm driving high.
Yeah, we can. We have specially trained officers that are called drug recognition experts, and they're able to evaluate your sobriety and determine what drug or drugs you may be under the influence at the time of driving. Well, we know over 30 million people have admitted to using cannabis or cannabis products in the last 30 days. So we're seeing a lot of new users, so we're prepared to identify those impaired drivers on the roadway.
How do you expect me to just put stuff together that isn't here? I don't have any tools. I can't make anything. Just shoot them on the green screen. Just put them on the green screen and let them talk.
Law enforcement is acutely aware of the dangers of DUID, and they have received specialized training to apprehend impaired drivers.
In the last few years, more emphasis has been placed on training all patrol officers to assess drivers for impairment. They do this by closely observing behavior, asking specific questions, and using validated testing procedures.
Law enforcement officers use a series of standardized field sobriety tests, which have been scientifically proven to detect impairment from both alcohol and drugs.
These tests, which assess divided attention, balance, and coordination, are often performed roadside, but can also be conducted in controlled settings when drug impairment is suspected.
The walk and turn test determines balance and coordination by having a person walk a specific distance, make a safe turn, and return to the starting point. Another test to assess balance is the one-leg stand test. A person raises one leg and is directed to maintain their balance while counting aloud for 30 seconds. A more specific assessment is the horizontal gaze nystagmus test. Think you can control your eye movements when you're high? Think again. This test assesses how well a person can follow a moving stimulus with their eyes as it moves side to side. This observation focuses on any jerky or involuntary eye movements. Horizontal gaze nystagmus cannot be consciously controlled, and the person won't be aware if their eyes are not tracking smoothly. Watch for the involuntary jerking as the eyes follow the moving stimulus. Drug recognition experts, or DREs, undergo additional training to evaluate if someone is impaired by drugs. Who can tell us more?
DREs typically conduct their assessments after the arresting officer has ruled out alcohol impairment. This is based on the signs of impairment they observe or when the symptoms the driver reports don't match their blood alcohol concentration or BAC results.
Since 2015, the number of cannabis-related arrests made by DREs has increased by 20% nationwide.
They can also do a specific eye exam that detects cannabis use, known as lack of convergence.
In this video, you see how the subject can't keep both eyes focused on a stimulus when it's moved towards the bridge of the nose. Let's review the laws relating to DUID and the use, possession, and transportation of cannabis.
Section 231.52F of the California Vehicle Code specifically prohibits driving while under the influence of any drug.
You just know the vehicle code by heart?
Yeah, I'm a lawyer. Section G refers to driving under the influence of any alcoholic beverage and drug combined.
Oh, I know, I study this stuff. The per se laws establish specific measurements for blood alcohol content to constitute a presumption of driving under the influence. For passenger vehicle drivers, the BAC limit is 0.08%, and for commercial drivers, it is 0.04%. And for underage drivers, the legal blood alcohol content limit is 0.00%.
But California does not have a set DUID limit for THC or prescription drugs, so impairment is determined by observed behavior, field sobriety tests, and other evidence.
DUID can have serious legal consequences, including,
well, misdemeanor or felony arrest and prosecution. It becomes a felony if a person is killed or injured.
License suspension or revocation.
Vehicle impoundment.
Payment of fines and or restitution.
Criminal record.
Probation requirements.
Mandatory education classes.
Incarceration in county jail or state prison.
Good job, contestants. Now, what kind of personal consequences can result from a DUID conviction?
Loss of employment and other work problems due to lack of driving privilege.
Loss of professional licenses and certifications.
And social stigma.
Higher insurance premiums or losing your insurance entirely.
Financial losses due to fines and penalties or the cost of continued drug testing.
Financial consequences from DUID can be huge, both for alcohol and drugs. The estimated cost of a first-time DUI conviction in California is $13,500.
But it can be much more considering all the other expenses you may incur.
And the money might not be the worst part. Imagine the decision to drive impaired resulted in the serious injury or death of another person. No amount of money will ever change the outcome. Let's talk about laws specific to cannabis.
And Safety Code Section 11362.3 specifies where cannabis cannot be consumed.
Right on, Greg. And I can even quote that code. It says that it is illegal to smoke or ingest cannabis or cannabis products while driving, operating a motor vehicle, boat, vessel, aircraft, or other vehicle used for transportation.
Well, there are also laws specific to the maximum amount of cannabis that can be possessed by an individual.
Are on a roll, Greg. California Health and Safety Code 11357 specifies the maximum amount of cannabis that someone can possess. For the cannabis flower, the limit is 8.5 grams, approximately the weight of 5 quarters. For concentrate, the limit is 8 grams, or the weight of 1 quarter and 1 dime.
How can cannabis be transported in a vehicle?
According to Vehicle Code Section 23222,
222, am I right?
Man, I want to meet the crazy gang that wrote old 222.
Yeah, well, in 23222, open containers of cannabis can only be transported the same way as open containers of alcohol.
Not in the passenger's compartment or where it can be accessed by any person in the vehicle. It has to be in the trunk.
But if you have an SUV or a vehicle without a trunk, it must be kept out of reach of the driver.
Let's talk about some misconceptions about personal responsibility around DUID and look at some strategies to address them. You might hear people say this:
I drove here, so now I gotta drive home.
The sober driver can also act as the brains of the situation. Some may consider this person the designated thinker who looks out for the well-being of others. The consequences of DUID are not always obvious or easy to see. Consider the emotional impact you may experience if you decide to drive impaired. Let's look at Chad's story.
I definitely had a feeling earlier on that I should just stay at my friend's place and sleep there that night.
But he decided to get in his vehicle and drive. He never made it home. He was taken to jail. What police told him then has forever changed his life.
He came up and he just yelled at me, Mr. Olson. I jumped down. I was in the cell. And he's like, do you know what I had to do tonight? And I said, no. And he said, I had to go tell 5 kids that their parents weren't coming home tonight. And I said, and I just broke down, and yeah, it's hard at times to live with what I've done, but I'm not gonna hide from it. I made this choice, this selfish decision, and I need to live with it for the rest of my life, and I will.
What could the people who were around Chad that evening have done to help prevent this tragedy?
Remind him of the consequences. Stress the cost of a DUID or the horror of a fatal crash.
Just like with alcohol, you should have a person you trust to be your designated driver. Call a rideshare service or taxi.
But remember,
Tiffany!
People who are intoxicated or impaired should never be allowed to travel unaccompanied.
You can give your keys to someone you trust so you won't be able to drive away.
Find other people to help convince them not to drive. It's okay to gang up on them.
I'd let them know how concerned I am for their safety and the safety of others.
I'd offer them options, a ride home, spend the night, anything.
I'd stay persistent, insist that they find another way home. Don't give up, save a life.
If necessary, contact authorities. Remember, if there is no other way to stop an impaired person from driving, involving the authorities may be the best option. While it may seem like an extreme step, this could prevent an impaired driver from possibly taking a life. You might save their life, and maybe your own, because driving high is never okay, unless...
Guys, I've been drinking. You've got to drive. I'm not getting a DUI.
No way, man. I am totally high. You can get a DUI for weed, too.
Oh, sorry, guys. Medication, that's a DUI, too.
Seriously?
What about you, Daniel? What are you high on?
What? Oh, hey guys, I'm just high on life.
Can you get a DUI for being high on life?
I don't think so. Right on.
So panelists, what are some important points to take away today?
Well, cannabis affects people differently, and impairment depends on the potency of THC, personal tolerance, and the method of consumption. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
And even if you feel fine while under the influence of cannabis, you may not be able to accurately judge if you are safe to drive.
Edibles are unpredictable, and it can take up to 2 hours to feel high after ingesting them.
If you've been drinking, smoking weed does not sober you up. In fact, cannabis plus alcohol produces higher blood concentrations of THC, increasing your crash risk even more.
There can be extreme consequences if you drive under the influence of drugs, even drugs prescribed by your doctor.
You might think you can hide your impairment from law enforcement, but officers aren't fooled. They have been trained to detect and apprehend drivers impaired by both alcohol and drugs.
Now let's hear a word from our sponsor.
You work hard. You play hard. A drink with friends can turn into two, and a prescription can be stronger than you thought. Stop. Stop. There are a lot of ways to get a DUI, and a lot of ways to go. Call a cab, text a friend, share a ride. Better yet, plan ahead and leave the keys behind. Who wants to bother with parking anyway? Well, whatever you choose to do, choose a better way to get there. Go safely, California.
We've shared a lot of information, but the message is crystal clear. Driving under the influence of drugs is a risky, dangerous choice that can have serious, long-lasting consequences. Anyone who chooses to drive high would be a loser. So, who are the real winners of this game show?
You're not going to give us any prize money, are you, Bert?
Your prize is this information that could save lives.
Not even a parting gift?
I'm taking my podium.
Okay. Well, this has been. Hey, what did we end up with here? Well. Thanks for tuning in, and drive safe out there. Don't drive impaired. And call 911, please.